I've heard from a lot of legal analysts, and they say what is different about this case than the federal cases is Georgia has laws that are specifically tailored to election interference and things like that. Andy McCarthy, a Fox News contributor, and also he wrote an op-ed in the New York Post, he said that the Georgia indictment is the most perilous threat to former President Trump. Does President Trump know that this is a perilous threat?
We do not agree that it is a perilous threat because we actually have inside information. So I love when people...
What inside information?
Well, the inside information, Steve, and you know, you used to love Trump, but I got to tell you.
So at this point, the only thing standing between Dominion and one hell of a Christmas party on behalf of Fox News is Steve Doocy.
Donald Trump's in a pickle. He's got all these indictments and stuff like this. This is a different case, though, because it's a state case as opposed to the federal cases, because in the federal stuff, if he were elected, he could pardon himself, but he can't in Georgia because that's a state. They've got a board, and you can't get a pardon until 5 years after you've served your time.
Now, could it be a coincidence that this comes after Dominion got one hell of a payout from Fox News? But in this example, Steve Doocy was the voice of reason on Fox when Trump lawyer Alina Habba went on and did what she does best, which is make excuses and bent herself into a pretzel to excuse any wrongdoing of the former president.
Wow.
What do you make? Now, I've heard from a lot of legal analysts, and they say what is different about this case than the federal cases is Georgia has laws that are specifically tailored to election interference and things like that. Andy McCarthy, a Fox News contributor, and also he wrote an op-ed in the New York Post, he said that the Georgia indictment is the most perilous threat to former President Trump. Does President Trump know that this is a perilous threat?
We do not agree that it is a perilous threat because we actually have inside information. So I love when people...
What inside information?
Well, the inside information, Steve, and you know, you used to love Trump, but I got to tell you, I mean, this is something I'm not going to breach, right? I have confidentiality and I have ethics, and I'm going to continue. But I think you need to understand something. When somebody is given a report, and he has reports that show that there was interference, and you could be advised by one lawyer that says, oh, I don't think so, and you could have another lawyer that says, no, I do think so, and here's some reports, and we know that there were issues in Fulton County, right? We know. It's not a question. There was election issues, and the integrity of our election is in question at this very moment. And when he says, I want to look into it, I don't trust it, we need to look into it, that's his obligation as a president, okay? Look at Letitia James, for instance, Steve. Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, stood up on a podium, who's suing the Trump Organization, and said, President Trump is an illegitimate president. Now, is she going to get criminally charged? What about Hillary Clinton?
Every day, she said.
You know, it's interesting when you see how the Biden family is treated versus the Trump family is treated. How is he doing? Why would he even want to run again when he knows this is going to happen? Is it worth it to him?
Yes, because that's why he's running. It's absolutely worth it. He loves the country. He knows the country's in trouble. And I think we all love the country. We wouldn't be waking up and doing this every day if we didn't. We're in a bad state right now, and this is third world stuff. It's incredibly frightening. The fact that his due process rights and an indictment went up, which Fannie had to have signed, and that went up before a grand jury voted on it, that says it all.
But just listen to what she says when Doocy presses her, even so slightly, on the matter. She retorts to what is often said amongst cult groups is, well, you used to really like him, so how dare you question his motives and the fact that he seems to be threatening a witness?
Do not agree that it is a perilous threat because we actually have inside information. So I love when people...
What inside information?
Well, the inside information, Steve, and you know, you used to love Trump, but
she has been waiting for years for an opportunity to have her moment, as I would call it. And I think we see that a lot with corrupt DAs and AGs. It's no longer about the law. It's no longer about punishing criminals that are actually doing crimes. It's about people getting a headline. And there's no better way to get a headline than to go after Donald Trump. It's about the indictment. It's not really about the fairness or if he's going to get out. And I think Fannie's lining up and waiting just long enough to have a press cycle pass so that she has her own single Georgia moment.
Are you referring to her as corrupt?
I think that what we're seeing is these DAs are backed. No, I said there are corrupt DAs and AGs, and do I believe Fannie is politically motivated? Absolutely. I think if you look at how long she has waited to bring this, that is what happens. They're backed by Soros, many of them, as you know. It's very publicly known. And they do things for the party, not for the law, not for the benefit of the state, but for the party. And that is corruption at its best, and we cannot have it. That's not what lawyers are supposed to do. We forget that. They become politicians. They're really not. They're supposed to be lawyers and judges and AGs and DAs that carry out the law and look for the benefit of the state. This in no way does that.
This comes in the wake of the bombshell indictments coming out of Georgia, in which Donald Trump went on his usual escapade of throwing temper tantrums on Truth Social and accusing everyone of being corrupt. Well, everyone but the man who is indicted yet again.
Donald John Trump, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani, John Charles Eastman, Mark Randall Meadows, John Cheeseborough, Jeffrey Clark, Jenna Lynn Ellis, Ray Stallings Smith III, Robert David Cheeley, Michael A. Roman, David James Schaefer, Sean Micah Tresher Steele, Stephen Cliffgard Lee, Harrison William Prescott Floyd, Travion C. Cootie, Sydney Catherine Powell, Kathleen Austin Latham, Scott Graham Hall, and Misty Hampton, also known as Emily Misty Hayes. Every individual charged in the indictment is charged with one count of violating Georgia's Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act.
The arguments made by former President Trump that this is a politically motivated indictment.
I make decisions in this office based on the facts and the law. The law is completely nonpartisan. That's how decisions are made in every case. To date, this office has indicted, since I've been sitting as a district attorney, over 12,000 cases. This is the 11th RICO indictment. We followed the same process. We look at the facts, we look at the law, and we bring charges.
Have there been conversations about the terms of surrender?
Will you try this case yourself,
Has
Ms.
the jury
Willis?
been cleared?
Sit down. Sit down.
And as we know, this is not the first time that Steve Doocy has done this. I remember vividly when he pressed James Comer to provide the evidence that he claims to have had and then lost, and then the dog ate it. And then, oh yeah, one of the witnesses went missing, then he came back. So
make it easy for us. What was the crime?
Well, the crime is trading policy for money.
Which policy?
Well, we're going to get into that. I mean, look, Joe Biden has, on day one, he changed our energy policy in America that put China first and America last. He went in on day one and ended the China Initiative, which was an investigation at all our public universities of a very organized Chinese spy ring where China was sending students to universities to steal our research and development.
So you're saying because members of the Hunter Biden family and the extended Joe Biden family got money through various foreign entities, including things from China, that the president is compromised.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's more, it sounds like from what we've seen and what lawyers have said to the press behind the scenes and stuff like that, it sounds like it's more than just protesting that he lost the election. It sounds like they've assembled evidence about tactics that the former president used to try to hold on to power after he lost in 2020, assembling slates of so-called fake electors from swing states that the president had at that point lost, pressured state officials to block or delay Joe Biden's win, and of course, famously, on January 6th, tried to persuade the vice president not to certify the election results in the Electoral College. That's just some of the stuff that could be involved. Remember, we know all that. All we know for sure is, according to this source at ABC, there are 3 federal statutes. We don't know exactly the evidence. We just know that that is the case that has been levied against him in the past.
it seems to be par for the course for this modern day Steve Doocy.
I've heard the numbers, a lot of the numbers in a broad way from the Republicans. And yesterday they gave us more bank records. But you know what? With all due respect, the Republicans need better investigators because they've got a lot of circumstantial evidence, but they have not shown that Joe Biden profited personally,
they're doing
or
great.
that he broke any rules.
I vehemently disagree.
It's all circumstantial.
This is
Okay,
this is
Brian.
so. No, let me finish. This
Let
is
me finish. I started.
But this is funneling right to him
Right.
at a rapid pace. They've had this job for about 8 months.
What's funneling it? Him?
Everything
is money funneling it. Him?
Is Joe involved?
We
Is
haven't
Joe's
connected the dots.
Joe's presence involved in every major business deal that Hunter was involved
Right.
in? As Andy McCarthy said, Joe was the business. He had the access.
Right.
Hunter didn't.
So,
Hunter
Brian,
didn't have
what-
the reputation. It's leading right there.
Brian, what laws did Joe Biden break?
If the American people knew.
Just answer the
that
question. What law did he break?
Number
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.